BTS member Jungkook scores his first solo hit with Seven, which debuted at the top of the Billboard Hot 100, making him the second solo BTS member to hit #1 on the pop chart after Jimin with his solo Like Crazy. So what are pundits saying about this latest feat? What have been the implications of solo projects on BTS's hiatus as a group? And what other K-pop acts are making headlines? Welcome to Issues and Insiders. We start the work week with the latest in the world of K-pop across the globe. For more on this, I have Kim Young-dae live on the line. Young-dae, it's been a while. Welcome back.
Long time no see. Hi.
Hello, hello. And I also have Haley Yang with us. Yeah, Haley, it's good to have you with us again.
Good to be back after a while.
Right, Young-dae. BTS member Jungkook made an impressive Billboard debut, if I may say so myself, with his solo single, Seven, topping 3 major charts at the same time, I hear. Could you tell us a bit more about these charts and what are the implications of this latest feat for K-pop as a whole?
Well, like you mentioned, Jungkook, the golden maknae, right, of BTS, made impressive, but not so much surprising hotshot debut at #1 on Billboard Hot 100, which is obviously the most popular, relevant, and representative chart of all. And he also took multiple #1s on the relatively newest charts, such as Global 200 and Global 200 excluding the US. All 3 charts are pretty important and very relevant indicators of which songs are currently received the most, sold and streamed the most, and I mean, to put it simply, the most popular. Especially the 100 in particular, it can be said the most legitimate, standard and traditional indicator that would tell us the mainstream popularity of American pop music right now. So overall, I mean, these chart success proves once again BTS dominance in the US pop market continues. Not only as a group, we all seen a lot of series of #1 hits, but right now, as an individual artist such as Jungkook and Jimin, this momentum is expected to continue for the time being.
Right, and that being said, Haley, what do you believe is the appeal of Jungkook's single Seven?
I don't know how many of our viewers have listened to this song, but they could probably notice that it sounds very modern, almost like anything that's trending in the Western market, especially with English lyrics. It could really blend in with other Billboard chart-topping hits. And a lot of people probably know that there are distinct song structures and melodies often found in K-pop, and a lot of those types are broken away from in Jungkook's debut. And also, a lot of people must have been talking about this, but what's been mentioned a lot around K-pop listeners were how explicit the lyrics were, which is a major breakaway yet again from normal K-pop as we know it, because of considering how K-pop idols normally try to avoid any explicit content at any cost. So the very explicit nature of Jungkook's lyrics were bound to cause word of mouth, and usually that always helps publicity. That gets people talking about it and actually checking out if it's as shocking as they've heard it is. And it has been generating a lot of buzz about how unconventional it is, causing more people to enjoy the song, give it a listen, and bring it high on the charts.
Right, I see. Meanwhile, Young-dae, I hear that Jungkook's latest success comes amid a change in charting methods by Billboard. Could you tell us a bit more?
By the way, for me, both versions are relatively clean for me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Anyway, Billboard, they always change the way the charts are counted or the percentage details of the formula they made that creates this chart results. The reason for this is not always known, but can only guessed. But I understand it is to more, accurately reflect the music's current popularity, of course. Recently, Billboard announced that it would not reflect the number of downloads directly on the artist's official website for its chart, which is, kind of disadvantaged given the characteristic nature of K-pop and fandom, which achieves, they would achieve the chart results with high fandom participation in the purchase and downloading. But the important thing is, despite all this, Jungkook took #1 spot, multiple #1 spot. Once again, it was very this time it was very narrow gap, quite interesting situation. But anyway, it is very meaningful achievement for Jungkook and BTS, of course, and K-pop in general.
Right. Haley, a number of BTS members now have shared solo projects, and their fan base, of course, has been very quick to embrace these projects. What have been the implications, do you suppose, of these solo projects on BTS's hiatus as a group?
So before they officially announced their hiatus as a group, which was already a year ago, June 2022, before that, for years, there was concern about whether their management company, HYBE, could even survive without BTS, or if BTS would manage to be not forgotten during their military-induced hiatus. And of course, a lot of that concern was gone away with the hit groups that HYBE has been launching afterwards. But BTS members themselves have been really breaking expectations with their solo endeavors that turned out to be enough to generate a lot of profit even on their own. Because think about it, the members releasing their albums are reaching million seller statuses on their own, which arguably is more profitable per capita because they're reaching around the same heights that they've been reaching a septet. And with big news about BTS continuing to follow in, like TV appearances, Billboard records, and sales of their music, BTS remains relevant even more so than ever in the public mind without any group activity. And even without them as a group together, there's been a lot of talks in the media which will ensure that they are not forgotten until their return from their military hiatus.
Right, of course not. Young-dae, what are your thoughts on the impact of these solo projects by BTS members on their fans as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, it is not always a true for US or British pop group, but for K-pop groups, especially the group like BTS, you will definitely will see a great impact of certain group, I mean, as a group. But if you look at closely, it's a sum of a lot of different fandoms, individual fandoms of each different members. And at this point, I mean, BTS, 10 years, right? And they've shown a lot of different things as a group. But right now, everyone knows that it is a perfect time for every members as an individual artist to show their true, authentic artistry for the fans. And it's very timely. So I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of different things to be shown as a group later in the future. But at this time, it is time for solo projects. I think it's a perfect timing. And also these solo projects is successfully showing their very unique individuality as a solo artist.
Right. Haley, BTS's book Beyond the Story debuted on top of the New York Times bestseller list to become the first book by a Korean author to hit #1 on that list. How do you explain this popularity?
Fans definitely paid for the high-quality hardcover version, which also contains interviews about BTS members' lives as trainees leading up to their debut. But there's also probably a bigger reason behind a book reaching #1 on the list by a Korean K-pop band, right? First of all, if you think about it, BTS's ARMY are known for their formidable purchasing power. They buy up to 3 million copies of BTS's albums every time they release one. And ever since June of last year, if you notice, there has been no album from BTS because of their official announcement of a group hiatus. So ARMY needs some place to spend their money and channel their passion into. And it's the same as how CD sales have been skyrocketing since the pandemic started. When social distancing was at its peak, K-pop fans couldn't spend their money on concerts or meet and greets, anything, in person. So they decided to channel a lot of their funds for supporting their stars into bulk buying their CDs because they couldn't spend it on anything else. And I believe that a lot of the solo projects, the goods, and even this book that BTS or BTS related stuff are being released, the fans are deciding to show their support by purchasing their usual, CD money on these merchandises. This time, I think the book was a very great form of BTS's appeal to be released in the market when the fans are really thirsty for more content.
Right, indeed. And beyond BTS, Haley, on a more solemn note, K-pop girl group 50/50 behind the hit song Cupid and its agency are embroiled in a legal dispute as we speak, I believe. Now, as a pundit observing the events from the outside, what are your thoughts regarding this legal battle?
I've been following this incident as many people have been in the industry since it broke out really shockingly in late June. And it's actually nothing new for K-pop idols to sue their agencies to break away from them. But what's really noticeable during this incident is how Koreans usually have supported the stars, as we've seen in the case of TVXQ's lawsuit with SM Entertainment in 2009, or Luna with their agency this year earlier. But why the Korean public is reacting really differently and very skeptically to 50/50. I believe there are many underlying that rather than just this narrative that's going on that they're ungrateful, that they're traitors to their original agency. For those of you who don't know, 50/50 is trying to break away from their agency, citing that it missed payment details and forcing them to perform while they were sick. And all of this happened to happen after their song Cupid became a viral hit this spring. And the agency says that the members are trying to break away at the first sign of publicity because they're being poached by bigger outside forces that they're accusing. And the thing is, I believe the story resonates with a lot of the Korean public and causes them to really condemn them very harshly because it violates a lot of the traditional elements seen in wholesome Korean feel-good stories. So the CEO of their agency sacrificed his life savings to invest in these four members, and the narrative currently is that the members are ungrateful, failing to repay this pseudo-parental figure sacrifice, and that's the agency's chief in this case. So I do feel for both sides, the girls trying to look for bigger opportunities or seek payment, and also the agency that really put in a lot in raising them. But I think the members are seeing really harsher backlash, not because that what they've done is necessarily so immoral, but because they go against a lot of these traditional elements that Koreans have been rooting for, you know?
Right, and against that backdrop, Young-dae, on a deeper level, what does this dispute tell us about the tasks that need to be tackled within the broader music industry here?
Well, as Haley mentioned in detail, this time it was different. I mean, the public's reaction to this issue was pretty different from the case of Luna, and even TVXQ back in the day. The difference is real. I mean, it's pretty obvious. 50/50, they never had an ample time to build the substantial amount of fandom to trust them, have a proper respect for the artists. So this time, well, like Haley mentioned, there are a lot of different reasons. But personally, I don't see this as something that would reveal the sort of like fundamental problem in the K-pop music industry. Rather, for me, it is close to very kind of special case, very specific case. But basically, I think it was a kind of unfortunate and inappropriate judgment by the givers and the producer An Sung-il. I'm not really talking about the details or any like real conflict between two agencies here, but for me, what worked out in the favor of this group. We say we all know that 50/50 is sort of like a small, medium-sized company's miracle, right? So we were all hoping that this miracle would continue, and in order to do so, they really needed to put down their own situation, to think about the continued success of the group. Maybe I'm being too romantic or naive, but I'm really sorry for them.
Right. Young-dae spoke about miracles, Haley. Now, earlier this month, moving forward, that is, NewJeans became the fastest K-pop group in history to enter the Hot 100. Could you tell us a bit more about this group's accomplishments, which come about a year since its debut?
They made a truly sensational debut in August 2022, and everyone in Korea has probably heard of Hype Boy unless they live in a cave, and maybe even if they live in a cave, they probably listen to Hype Boy. And there's actually so many first and high points that this group has achieved in less than a year, which it just surpassed its first anniversary. So just to give you some of the top accomplishments they've seen, the group has already won multiple advertisement deals that are all over TV, so everyone has seen their face, from fashion deals, luxury endorsements to Coca-Cola advertisement, which groups usually take years, if ever, to win these high-profile advertisement deals. It also won the New Artist Award and the Grand Award at the same time last year, meaning that it really reached the top upon its entrance into the K-pop scene. And it's the third group ever after 2NE1 and Blackpink, both legendary names, for its debut song to also top the daily and monthly charts. Also recording some more is highest CD sales, physical copies by a debuting girl group, most streamed female K-pop act on Spotify. And it's just become a cultural phenomenon overall, not just among the very young fans who would traditionally, support these really young girl groups, but also you'll notice that they have a very sturdy fandom among the people in their 20s and 30s.
And Young-dae, speaking as a music critic, of course, what is your thoughts on the appeal of this particular girl group, NewJeans?
By the way, I'm pretty sure Haley, did the one of the Hype Boy cover dance back in the day. I don't know. Yeah, but NewJeans music for me as a music critic, extremely simple. Very surprising. It is very simple yet extremely refined and sophisticated at the same time. It may sound easy, but that's not really easy at all. This is such a quiet and a high level, the kind of like a music, expertise. It's very difficult to achieve. In the past, K-pop has been thinking a lot about what K-pop should be, sounding like or look like. That's why nowadays we have a, aesthetic called K-pop style, right? And it worked. I cannot deny. But NewJeans doesn't seem really to feel that kind of compulsion. You know what I mean? They do not utilize complex arrangement or complex, music or the word views or the lore and stories uniquely, applied to K-pop. Their music is such a simple and exceptionally beautiful and delightful, suitable all kind of occasions and lifestyles of many different people, and satisfying any casual taste for contemporary pop music fans. I think that's a really important distinction. It is music for everyone, still K-pop aesthetic in a lot of different ways, but it's not just for K-pop fans. It's really a kind of cosmopolitan music created by Korean people.
Right, a simple universal appeal then. Young-dae, another K-pop girl group, Sserafim, teamed up with Japanese singer-songwriter for a new single, I hear. What can we expect?
Oh, it's very interesting collaboration because Imase is probably the only one or one of very few singers to have a substantial hit on the Korean local chart like Melon. So it itself is a huge news. The song will be featured on their second single for the Japanese market from Sserafim titled Unforgiven, released on August 23rd. We all know they're a very talented multinational girl group with two very popular Japanese members, Sakura and Kazuha. So for that reason alone, they have a wonderful response, better response and reputation in the J-pop market than any other K-pop girl group. So to put it simply, another big hit will be expected. According to the press release that I read, it will be, I don't know, maybe kind of cliched expression, but a retro funky groove kind of song in the city pop style. So I don't know really about that, what that means, but to put it simply, for me, it's going to be very exciting, modern and retro at the same time, popular music.
Right. Haley, what would you say are the broader gains of artistic collaborations in the music industry, keeping in mind, of course, Sserafim's team up with Imase?
I believe the current trends show a transition in the K-pop scene where once there was a time that K-pop groups usually tried to avoid featuring other artists on their lead tracks because I believe, one, they feared that it might take away the focus on promoting their own members, and also K-pop groups already have so many of their own members already, so they felt kind of a lesser need to feature big artists, and that is no longer the case as seen in Sserafim. Collaboration, especially with artists from a different country, can obviously cross-promote between countries, like between Japan and Korea in this case, and also because Imase is not just a Japanese J-pop artist, but also very popular on TikTok. That's what really made his career. It can help Sserafim reach his TikTok following and a bigger audience. And also vice versa, Imase could reach the fans of Sserafim in Korea and abroad that wasn't necessarily familiar with J-pop or its artists. We really see this trend recently. Sserafim also collaborated with American producer and guitarist Nile Rodgers in May for Unforgiven, which was their lead track, and that also created buzz and garnered in people who knew about Nile Rodgers but weren't necessarily interested in Sserafim. And I do expect this trend to rise.
Right. And I think we have like a minute or two left. So moving forward then, Haley, which K-pop boy band, apart from BTS, of course, are making waves on music charts as we speak?
Boy bands traditionally tend to have a harder time gaining popular appeal among the general public because they usually opt for harder, eccentric sounds to focus on their really loyal fan base. And the exceptions, very few of them, with recent releases are boy bands 17 and NCT Dream, which have topped the charts, each with Super. And for NCT Dream, it's been Candy and ISTJ, which just dropped 2 weeks ago. In the case of 17, they've been building up a very sturdy fan base since they debuted in 2015 and going strong for 8 years. And NCT Dream has been opting for softer, more publicly appealing sounds in recent years. For example, their hit Candy is a remake of the 90s hit by H.O.T., which has wider appeal. So whether they've built a stronger fan base or are going more public appeal approach, some boy bands have been making exceptions.
Right, and speaking about boy bands, Young-dae, I believe there is an all-Filipino K-pop boy band making news. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, the name is Horizon, a 7-member boy group from the Korean-Philippines joint project idol, survival program Dreammaker, which last aired on Philippine broadcasting station ABS last February, I guess. They're not quite unfamiliar to us because the idea, right? For one thing, K-pop groups are already huge in the Philippines, and SB19, a P-pop group, inspired and influenced by the K-pop idol system, has already become an internationally popular group following K-pop's path to global success. So, and also K-pop's unique, trainee system, that has already penetrated deeply in the Philippine music industry and kind of localized in their own way. So. Groups for the K-pop markets are now being, created in earnest, which also means we are close to the final stage of Korean localization. K-pop system is happening.
Hopefully.
It will take a while for them to gain a popularity of Korean local groups in Korea, but I think it will make very meaningful results in the end.
Right. Hopefully you're right, Young-dae. As always, Young-dae, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts today. And Haley, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right. Well, that ends Monday's edition of Issues and Insiders. We return same time tomorrow. That is Tuesday, so join us then.